Hello, my name is Charlie Lane, and I'm going to tell you about my grandfather, Charles Eugene Pengus. This is him. To give you an idea of the kind of person that my grandfather was, I'm going to tell you a brief story that my mother told me about him. When he and my grandmother were dating, they went on a date to a bar. When they sat down, my grandmother felt someone touching her hair. So she turned around, there's a guy sitting there telling her that her hair is pretty. My grandfather naturally told him to, not lay his hands on her. So when he touched her hair again, my grandfather picked up a chair and swung it at the guy. So that was the kind of guy that he was, always there to defend and support those he loved. My grandfather was a good man that came from very little and worked very hard to provide a stable home for his family, despite having health issues. Today I'll discuss that first, he was born to a poor family and that he wasn't expected to live past the age of 10. Second, when he started his own family, he did whatever he could to provide for them. Third, he got into the realty business, including opening his own business. And fourth, he died after battling lung cancer. My grandfather was born in a small mining town in Indiana on July 15, 1917. As I said, he was born into a poor family and wasn't expected to live past the age of 10. My mother, who was the source of most of my information, could not remember the town he was born in, but I was able to find from Ancestry.com that he was born in Clinton, Indiana. He, his two older sisters and younger brother were all first-generation American. His father was also named Charles, was from Belgium, and his last name was Pennegus, later Americanized to Pengus when he came to America. His father was a miner that did what he could to provide food, clothing, shelter, but didn't make much for money. When he was young, he did live through the Great Depression, but because they were already in a mining community and didn't make a lot of money, they weren't greatly affected. Let's see. My mother told me a story of when he nearly died and he was 7. She said that when he was 7, he choked on a penny. His mother beat him on the back so he could spit it out, and because of this, he developed an enlarged heart. The doctor told my grandmother that my grandfather would not live past the age of 10. After the diagnosis of the enlarged heart, he had to live a very cautious life because his mother constantly feared that he would have a heart attack and die. Thankfully, the doctor was wrong, and he lived to be much older than 10. As he grew older, and the constant worry of his health diminished, he was able to start living a more normal life, including working and starting a family. Following the example of his father, he did whatever he could to provide for his family. He quit school in the 10th grade to work. My mother told me that was pretty common where he was from, to quit to help provide for the family. When World War II started, he was 21, but he couldn't serve because of his health issues. Instead, he stayed home and did odd jobs. My mom told me the story of how he met my grandmother at a war dance. She said, "My dad noticed my mom because of her legs. Apparently, he was totally a leg guy. After she caught him looking at her legs, she winked at him. He asked her to dance, and that was pretty much it for them. My mom said it was kind of a fatal attraction. After that, they got married on Valentine's Day in 1944. They were really poor when they first got together. They lived wherever they could find shelter, including his sister's porch, or even in a converted chicken coop and using an outhouse as a restroom. His first 4 children were born within 4 years and 1 month of each other, all while living in those conditions. To provide for them, he worked odd jobs, and when need be, he would go around collecting beer bottles to trade in to buy formula. As his family continued to grow, he got into the realty business to make more money. When they moved to Michigan, he started working for a local realty office, which provided them more stable income and housing. My grandparents then had 3 more children, totaling 6 boys and 1 girl, with my mother being the youngest. As he became more experienced, he decided to open his own realty firm, which he called C. Pengus Realty, where he dealt in residential and land development. His business was a success, so much so that he even came to own several investment properties and plots of land. He moved his family to Arizona in October of 1975 due to suffering from severe arthritis pains and not feeling he could take another winter in Michigan. He opened another realty office under the same name in Apache Junction. With a large family and a successful business, life was looking good for my grandfather until he was diagnosed with cancer. In the spring of 1979, he was diagnosed with inoperable lung cancer. Since his cancer was inoperable, he received a combination of chemotherapy and radiation. From what I could find on sources and treatments at that time, chemotherapy was still a relatively new treatment option, but it had shown positive results when combined with radiation or mixtures of other drugs. However, these treatments provided little change for patients with advanced stages of the disease. concurrent health issues, and advanced age. He was told when he was diagnosed that he had a year to live at best, and at most treatment would just delay the inevitable. His cancer became worse when it spread to his lymph nodes. Only 1 year after being diagnosed, he died on March 30th, 1980. My mother couldn't remember the exact date, but I was able to find that using some Ancestry.com resources and the Social Security Death Index. Despite being born into poor conditions and not being expected to survive past the age of 10, my grandfather lived a good, successful life. Today I shared with you that my grandfather was born to a poor family and wasn't expected to live past the age of 10, that he was a hard-working provider, that he was an entrepreneur of his own realty business, and that he died at the age of 62 from lung cancer. One of the things that I respect most about my grandfather is that he always put his family before his business. My mother told me a story about when she was 16 and in a serious car accident, after being told not to drive somewhere. She said that the accident was serious enough that the girl riding with her was paralyzed from the chest down for life, and the guy in the other car died. After paying out $1 million for the accident, their insurance company dropped them. In addition, my grandfather sold investment property so he would not lose it in a lawsuit. She said that my dad always defended me and never made me feel badly for causing so much trouble. After working so hard to build up his business, he was willing to lose it all for the sake of defending and supporting his children. Thank you.